Okay, Prabhu, take it over.
Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vandeham Shri Guruvaram Shirupanugapravaram Brajarasadasikamcha Narayanam Tankrapanam Shri Gurum Charanam Vande Ramana Pristaya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhaktidam cha kripa murti narayanam Nityananda namastubhyam premananda pradayine Kalo kalamasanasaya Janavapataye namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dheena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shiradha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bola Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Shri Rama Rama Hare Hare. First I'm offering my Sastang Dandavat Pranams unto my most worshipful Guru Pada Padma Paramaratitam Guru Pada Padma Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev, to all the Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, especially to Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj. Today is his divine Tirobhav Mahotsava, and to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Today we are celebrating, the Vaishnavas are celebrating his appearance festival. The Vaishnavas describe that Vaishnavera Gunagan Korile Jivaratran. If we want to achieve auspiciousness in our life, the best method is to speak and hear the glories, qualities of the Vaishnavas. Nakarma bandhanam janma Vaishnavanam cha vidyate Vishnarucharatvam hi mokshamahor manishma. The true Vaishnavas are none other than the messengers of Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality, who descend upon this earth and make it auspicious. Prithvi Dhanya. The earth herself becomes ecstatic upon the advent of the pure Vaishnava. Therefore, these days are our most auspicious days. Sri Krishna appears once in a year. Srimati Radhika appears once in a year. But they're so merciful that they send their Karuna avatar, their embodiments of compassion, to this world. And so many Vaishnavas come that we're able to celebrate many days throughout the year. And therefore every day we have an opportunity to achieve Kalyan, auspiciousness, by hearing the glories and speaking the glories of the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, our bodies are a vehicle for so many material sounds and impressions that pollute our consciousness and degrade us. On the other side, if we hear the glories of the Vaishnavas, we are able to progress in our spiritual life towards the ultimate achievement of Sri Krishna Prem. Today we are celebrating the disappearance day of Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj, who is one of our great saints in modern times, who is an eternal associate of Sriman Mahaprabhu, Shri Radha Krishna and our Guru Varga, and who performed Atimartya Charitra. Our Vaishnavas have super mundane activities and pastimes. And hearing them not only gives us encouragement and inspiration to follow this path, yet even more so, simply hearing these, Krishna himself hears the glories of the Vaishnavas and considers his life successful. Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj appeared. What is the name of the, I was just reading, the name of the town, Gokul Prabhu, perhaps?
Jagannath Singh Pur.
Yes, yes. But Braja Bandhu Manik. Braja Bandhu. So this means he is a great friend of the Brajabasis and of Braj. And he showed this in his life. Raga Marga Bhakti Kodite Pracharan. His entire life was purpose, was this Raga Marga Bhakti Lok Kodite Pracharan. When he was only 8 years old, he had completed all the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, like Chaitanya Charitamrita, completely studied. He was so absorbed from childhood that our Vaishnavas say that Hon Har Virvan Hote Hai Chikne Pat, that you can tell a great personality by the symptoms seen even in their childhood. So we see that with our acharyas, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada and Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj. How from their childhood, so we see with him, from even childhood, like Srila Jiva Goswami, from his childhood he would worship Krishna Balaram, study the scriptures. So this shows that they are not ordinary personalities. They are Krishna's direct associates. We actually, today being his disappearance, it's a day of separation, but it's also, our Gurudev would say, we should see appearance and disappearance as equal, because for Vaishnavas it's like rising and setting of the sun. They do not disappear. They are eternal. But on the disappearance days, we are able to reflect upon their glories and their pastimes. When they appeared, we did not know them. Now, even though they're Krishna's eternal associates and have so many transcendental pastimes, when they disappear, all the devotees are absorbed in separation, and also that pulls them and develops thickness of prem, attachment to the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati. Unless we have this attachment to the lotus feet of Sri Guru, we cannot achieve the highest destination. Therefore, we remember them, and by remembering them, especially on these days of disappearance, it's calling us to that higher realm. We're remembering Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj on his disappearance day and praying to him, let us go to that higher realm and take his shelter. So his life was the epitome of pure bhakti, Shuddha bhakti. I'm feeling foolish a little bit to speak on his glories, but I'll just repeat what I've heard from the Vaishnavas. And so many of his, I pray for the blessings of his disciples like Gokul Das Prabhu, for some dust particles of mercy. He had so many intimate pastimes and intimate sevak. But it's our duty to glorify the Vaishnavas. We hear how he lived an ideal householder life. He was a teacher. And the entire time he would like Mahaprabhu. When Mahaprabhu was also a teacher. But Mahaprabhu, after he came back from Gaya and had received this Diksha from Ishwarapuri, he began to teach everything connected to Krishna. Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj, she would similarly teach everything in relation to Sri Krishna. All the while, this yearning for this spiritual calling, this awakening, like the flute song of Krishna. It's very, you can see this is another symptom of a great personality. That when Krishna played his flute to call the gopis, not everyone was able to hear. This spiritual calling, it's Krishna bringing us to his transcendental service. So this calling was always there in the heart of Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj, Brajabandhu. And finally he decided he had to leave home. And he became a wandering mendicant. All he had was Kamandulu and Bhagavad Gita. These were his only possessions in Gopal, correct? Yes. So he would travel, for 1 year, he traveled begging, going here and there to North India, especially into North India and different areas everywhere. Finally, he knew that ultimately our eternal home is Brajadham, Vrindavan Dham. Those who preach the path of impersonalism, Mayavad, Advaitavad, they are like aparadis, offenders towards the transcendental form of Sri Krishna. So he would argue and debate with them and establish Krishna Bhakti. Those who don't have this mamata for Krishna, they cannot really preach and help anyone. They may be so-called great pandit, great scholars, but there is no prem, no divine love, then it's all sophistry and intellectualism, sentiment, speculation, even sentimentalism. But without this prem, there is no ability to even truly help the jivas. This prem is what separates the true Vaishnavas from other teachers, other gurus. And we see this in Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. Therefore, he came to Sri Vrindavan Dham. We've heard from the Vaishnavas how actually most sadhus who would come to Vrindavan Dham, they would visit Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math, because this was a hub. The train did not go directly to Vrindavan, comes to Mathura, and from there it was renowned that sadhus were served and taken care of in Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math in Mathura, Srila Gurudev's Math. So we've heard how he visited there and spent some days there before continuing to Sri Vrindavan Dham, where he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada. A real Vaishnav can recognize another Vaishnav. Uttam Adhikari, pure devotee, can recognize another pure devotee. So Srila Prabhupada could immediately recognize his position. And therefore, even though Srila Gour Govinda Swami was so humble, he was washing the pots, doing all these menial services. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, wanted to immediately give him Harinam, Diksha and Sannyas. It was very controversial. Many of the senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj were opposed, thinking, no, there has to be some training period. But Srila Swami Maharaj said, you are the juniors, he is senior. This is Mahaprabhu's vision. Jai Bhaje Shevara. Whoever has the most bhakti, they are the most senior. Srila Goswami was the youngest. He spoke to all this assembled sages. Sukadeva Goswami was so young. But the soul is not young. The soul is eternal. And the eternal associate of Sri Krishna, he is on a different category than sincere followers of Sri Guru who are sadhakas. There are many sincere, devout sadhakas, practitioners, following bhakti, very focused, always doing Guru Seva, studying so much. The whole life is for Guru Seva, and that is so glorious. Yet still, someone who is Krishna's Nitya Parishad, eternal associate of Sri Guru, they are able to transform the hearts of the living entities. Kanishta, Madhyam, Adhikari can help so much. But Uttam Mahabhagavat can give prem. Gurudev would say, Kanishta can bring you up to their level. They can be very helpful. They can bring you towards Uttam Guru. They can bring you towards the Mahabhagavat. And that association is vital. That is sadhu sangha. Lava matra sadhu sangha. Moment's association with the devotee, they will bring you forward towards Krishna. But Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj, Prabhupada understood. They are eternal associates. Therefore, he immediately wanted to engage him in this ashram, sannyas. He was already like a sannyasi, traveling for 1 year as a sannyasi. But this is another point to show that the real Guru is not elected by a body of sincere devotees, but unless they are on the liberated platform, how can they understand who is the pure devotee? It's not so easy. Vaishnavas arrange these organizations because we have to deal with society in these ways. But it just goes to show with Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. Immediately he was given sannyas. And immediately Swami Prabhupada said, you should start a temple and make disciples. Immediately he was given this instruction. And many people are opposed, governing bodies. But who is the ultimate authority? Sri Guru. Sri Guru understands and empowers. So Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj, after sannyas, he was sent to Bhubaneswar, where he established like a pioneer, going to the fringe, starting from there. This place where they started their temple, there was nothing there. And later on it became like the central point of Bhubaneswar. And he stayed with so much, not a single thought for his own convenience, showing that to be a true sevak preacher, we have to have selfless dedication. Otherwise, it's very easy to stay with Sri Guru directly and bask in the comforts, the Aishwarya, the opulence that surrounds Shuddha Vaishnav. Pure devotees always are surrounded by the opulences of Mahalakshmi. She is waiting there with folded hands to serve them. But sometimes Guru and Vaishnavas say, no, you must go out. Don't remain in a comfortable position. Take on, willingly, take on the mantle of Guru Seva. So he did this, and he would stay in a thatched hut for many years. Every day he would go out, village to village, preaching the Bhagavat Dharma. Bhagavat Dharma is something that is completely contrary to all the so-called dharmas in this world. Therefore, the true preachers of Bhagavat Dharma are very rare. Dharma projita kaitavo. The Srimad Bhagavatam, second verse says, vast majority of so-called dharmas are only cheating. Therefore, it's imperative that Vaishnavas, who are genuine preachers of the Bhagavat Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, Pancham Purushartha Krishna Prem, go door to door, house to house, village to village, preaching this Bhagavat Dharma. And yet, without spiritual potency, you cannot transform the heart of even one living entity. Therefore, pranache jar sehitu prachar, where there is life, you can preach. Brajabasi gan pracharaka jan. Those who are the Brajabasis, they are the true preachers, because they are filled with the life of Krishna Prem. And that gives them supreme vitality and energy, which this Prem directly coming from the Braja Gopis, especially because the Braja Gopis, they renounce everything. Pati sutambaya bratri bandivana tivilangite anchatrujagata. The Braja Gopis don't care for, Krishna doesn't give them any house, Krishna doesn't give them any facility. Queens of Dwarka, Krishna gives so much facility. Sakas, the gopis feed so nicely, but the gopis especially, they don't take anything from Krishna, they don't need anything from Krishna. Only how can I serve? And we can see in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, Krishna Shakti vina nahitar pravartana. Without Krishna Shakti, no one can preach. Therefore, where does this Shakti come from? Shakti comes from Srimati Radhika. She is Swarup Shakti. And all the devotees get some rays of this Shakti who are following and surrendering to her. But the most powerful embodiments of this Shakti are her own kinkaris, her own maidservants, her own sakis. Therefore, we can see this as a symptom of the great personality like Srila Gour Govinda Svami. He is Srimati Radhika's kinkari. We should have no doubt. He is also Gaur Parshad. He's also Gauranga Mahaprabhu's associate. We should have no doubt. Without that, preaching empowered by Guru, it's possible. But to preach in such a way as Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj preached, very difficult and very rare. He established this temple. He preached throughout all the villages of Odisha. And he began, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada gave him the instruction to translate his English books into Oriya. Or I believe, maybe he was working from Hindi. I don't know if the Hindi books were ready at that time. But I believe he did it from English. perhaps Hindi as well. But this is very interesting. One thing that this ties into Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The importance of preaching in the English language. Without that, we would not be saved. Paschatya desha tarine. The Western countries would not be saved. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, in one of his final addresses, he spoke and said, therefore we must preach in the English language and in the Western countries. This is the desire of Mahaprabhu. The danger of casteism, the dangers of this mentality of we are the appointed and everyone else is inferior, is very dangerous in spiritual life. The real Vaishnavas never have this mentality. Srila Gour Govinda Svami, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they embraced everyone as this is the universal dharma. Jai Bhaje Shai Bhara. A large part of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's life, this is going into him as well, is that he broke down this kind of caste consciousness, Smarta Brahmin. Everyone is qualified. Those who have the right desire to serve Krishna, they are all qualified for this Vaishnava Dharma. They are true Brahmins. Without desire to serve Para Brahman, you are not a Brahmin. Therefore, Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj, by the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, he also preached in the West. Very powerfully. It was like these powerful Vaishnavas, when each of them come and travel, it is like a flood of prem. And anyone who is able to be in his association or read his books and watch his Harikatha videos, they can see that quality of his. Abada Karuna Sindhu Khatya Muhan Gare Gare Bule Prem Ami Aravan. This flood of prem is coming from Lord Nityananda and his expansion. So therefore, Sri Guru is empowered by Nityananda. And they are able to break these dams and flood the world with prem. So Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj traveled everywhere. One time I remember, as a young boy, he also came to our small village in Badger, California, New Braj. It's a very interesting place. It shows that Krishna appears everywhere. Krishna appears in the mountains, in the villages, in the towns. I remember when Srila Gurudev came to the West, he said, I've come to go to all those places where Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj has gone to take the foot dust. He's gone to the islands. He's gone to the mountains. He's gone to the valleys. He's gone to the cities. So Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj, when he was coming up the road to Badri, he said, where are you taking me on this windy road? And he spoke so sweet. I remember one devotee, Paramatma, he would say, can you understand? Paramatma. He was so sweet and so powerful, and the prem emanated from, we say that prem particles of this divine love, the transcendental bodies of the real Vaishnavas, they are not jad, material like ours, like mine, not like ours, like mine. Their bodies are made of Krishna prem. Therefore, by speaking, by their glance, by their darshan, by offering ourselves in their darshan, prem emanates from them. Therefore, there's a story, Param Gurudev once, Srila Bhakti Priyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj told Srila Gurudev when he was joining the mat in the early years, he said, Param Gurudev would speak with many lawyers, doctors, people would come to him, talk about worldly affairs, politics. Sometimes Gurudev would go here and there in many activities, many sevas. In the beginning years, it's very important for new devotees, especially, to stay in the direct association of great sadhus. Param Gurudev said, you should sit by me, as an example, showing that, he said, even if they're talking mundane things, so-called, they will inject Krishna Bhakti, but merely by their presence. Their bodies are like the suns of prem. By being in their presence, we are radiating. The radiation of prem is entering into our body and enlivening us and surcharging us with bhakti. So Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj, we don't have so much time, so I will conclude. His glories, he preached very powerfully. Thousands and thousands of devotees were touched by his Harikatha. Extremely beautiful Harikatha. In 1996, in Sri Mayapur Dham, he entered Aprakrita Dham. His samadhi is in Bhubaneswar. It's moved now, no? His transcendental samadhi stali is there. And speaking the pastimes of Sri Jagannath, and not just the pastimes of Sri Jagannath, but the pastimes of Jagannath in the highest understanding of how he is Sri Krishna coming to Braj and having this eye-to-eye darshan, meeting, enlivening, awakening Srimati Radhika from her separation at Uddhav Keri, and becoming Jagannath, completely stunned in Astasattvic Vikar of Prem, melting in this divine love. So these, just a very small fragment of the glories of Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj. Today is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. He is, without his grace, we would not be here in this Vaishnav Dharma. Through his power, through his personal, he is like described to be as the full moon surrounded by many stars. All these stars, his direct associates, they're also Krishna Priya Parshads. So many direct associates, Nityasiddhas of Sri Krishna. So many pure devotees were present. Therefore, he was like Chakravarti. So many illustrious personalities were with him. And through their powerful presence of bhakti, this movement has spread throughout the whole world. Through great Vaishnavas, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, like Srila Gurudev, like Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj, like Srila Bhakti Srila Goswami Maharaj, like Srila Bhakti Daita Madhav Goswami Maharaj, like Srila Bhakti Hridaya Bhan Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Sranga Goswami Maharaj, and countless illustrious Vaishnavas, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, who preached Shuddha Bhakti. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, again, also in his childhood, his qualities of bhakti were seen. His name was Bimala Prasad. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Saptam Goswami, Satchidananda Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was praying to Jagannath, please send me your pure devotee, because this task you have given me is so large. How can I accomplish this? Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was praying deeply to Jagannath. At that time, he was on a very high government post, magistrate in Orissa. And he was praying to Jagannath. Jagannath said, you should pray to Bimala Devi. She is my Shakti. So he prayed, and by her mercy, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada appeared. We know this is Krishna's arrangement. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him the name Bimala Prasad, the embodiment of the mercy of Bimala. And she is Sri Jagannath's Shakti. So therefore she is manifestation, Shakti, expansion of Srimati Radhika. Bimala Prasad, he has many beautiful names. Shri Barsha Bhanavi Devi Dhaita Das, the servant of Sri Krishna, Brajendra Nandan Shama Sundar, whose beloved is Srimati Radhika. Barsha Bhanavi Devi Dhaita. Actually, in this name we can see that Gaudiya Vaishnavas are Radha Paksha. We are more inclined toward the side of Srimati Radhika. Under her guidance we serve Krishna. Under her desire and her instruction we serve Sri Krishna. Therefore, Barsha Bhanavi Devi Dhaita Das, not Krishna Das, the servant of the beloved of Srimati Radhika. Barsha Bhanavi Devi Dhaita Das. This name was given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's Guru, Diksha Guru, Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj. As a young boy, we know the story how he was offered to Lord Jagannath when Jagannath was performing Rath Yatra, showing the sign of a great pure devotee. Jagannath's Rath Yatra cart stopped at his house for days. Finally, Bhagavati Devi and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kedarnath Datta, brought Bimala Prasad and offered him to Jagannath, and Jagannath's garland fell upon him, and all the devotees were ecstatic. Everyone was rejoicing. So this was again the sign. When he would be a young boy, wherever Bhaktivinoda Thakur would give class, he would go. He would carry his books and be like that, like Jiva Goswami with Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Always absorbed in this, in bhakti from childhood. He was a Shrutidar. He could read something and never forget. So very quickly, he learned the entire Bhagavad Gita, he learned all the Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything. But one thing very important happened that I don't want to jump ahead, but I'll just mention it. Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj, when he met him, he was so inspired to see that one thing is, someone who's like a perfect memory. They can learn everything. But a computer can also hold all these things in its memory. So simply having a great memory is not equivalent to being a pure devotee or being, the perfect preacher. When he met Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj, he had studied. One thing is Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he was so intelligent, so powerful, that the king engaged him as a royal tutor. And in that time he studied the entire royal library, all the different philosophical works of all the different Western and Eastern, all the different Siddhantas, philosophies, all the different Sampradayas. He learned everything. But when he came to the lotus feet of Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj, he wanted Diksha. He was searching, where is my transcendental guru? And this is a very important lesson. He was offered the post of being the chairman post of the entire astronomical board of the biggest university in India. But he rejected it, saying, I have not come to this world to count the stars in the sky or the particles of dust on the earth. So when he came to Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj, he said, no, you are too qualified. You know everything. I am illiterate. Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj was so humble. He showed that to be a guru, to be a pure Vaishnava, doesn't mean viprad dvishad gunayitad bhavanani. That you can have all great qualities, brahminical qualities, scholarly intelligence, know everything. But without Krishna praying, without Krishna bhakti, what is this? It is like ornaments on a dead body. We know this is not true for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada has this Krishna prem, and he's showing us the importance of Srila Gour Govinda. He wrote that Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj, I've searched and searched and searched for a pure guru, someone to lead me in spiritual life. I've only found Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj that he is perfectly following the process of bhakti. He is the perfect example of acharan and prachar. Apane achare kare na kare prachar, prachar kare na kare achar, achar prachar tumi karaho, tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya. Srila Haridas Thakur was glorified by Sanatana Goswami. You are the topmost spiritual master, the topmost benefactor of the entire world, because you perfectly follow and then you preach. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada came with this mission of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the whole world. But he showed that the importance of finding the Mahanta Guru who is following this in his life. Therefore, after taking Diksha, he took on this powerful vrat. And finally, Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj initiated him in this Diksha mantras. Diksha kale, bhakta kale, atma samarpan. Diksha means that Krishna completely surrendering and Krishna completely accepting. And at that point, Sri Guru offers you to Krishna and you achieve the transcendental position. So after this, from 1901, for over 10 years, he took on a vrat, Satakoti Nam Yagya, chanting 1 billion names of Harinam. 3 lakh Harinam every single day for 9 years. Very difficult. Easy to preach, hard to practice. Every day he would chant 3 lakhs Harinam, 2-3 hours mantras. He would take bath in the Ganga, wear that same cloth in his body, only one outfit. One time a day, cook some leafy greens or some rice, take this. And in this way, he engaged in very powerful deep sadhana. At that time, he was staying in Mayapur Dham. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur had discovered the appearance place of Srimad Mahaprabhu, which had been submerged by the Ganga for 100 years. And so at that point, he was given the seva of Sri Mayapur. Also, he was thinking that I have been given this great task. How is it? It's very difficult. At that time to preach, there was so much smartha, so much Jati Gosai, and within the Gaudiya Vaishnav line, so much Sahajism, cheap imitation of the pastimes of Sri Radha Krishna in these mundane bodies, making a mockery of the true esoteric mellows of Raga Bhakti. It was, on all sides there was difficulties and opposition. So he was praying, how can I fulfill this desire of the Guru Varga? When he was finishing this Satakoti Nam Yagya, Mahaprabhu himself appeared, Panchatattva themselves appeared. At that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur and Srila Gour Govinda Babaji Maharaj had already disappeared. 1914, 1915. And they themselves appeared to him as he was doing his sadhana and said, now you must go and preach, establish Chaitanya Mat, establish Gaudiya Mat. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had established Vishwa Vaishnav Raj Sabha. This was itself a revitalization and manifestation of what Srila Jiva Goswami established, the Vaishnav's association, Vaishnav Samaj, Vaishnav society. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had the same desire to establish the society of Sri Gauranga. Initially, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, at that point, he began preaching, receiving this direct instruction from Panchatattva and from the Guru Varga. So he began preaching. His Guru Maharaj, Srila Gour Govinda Svami, told him, don't go to Calcutta. This is Kali's place. He first established his printing press in Calcutta. He said, I've never gone to Calcutta in my entire life. Why? He said, wherever I go, I'm always in Brajapatan, means a branch office of Sri Brajadam. Gaudiya Mat is Brajpatan. In Sri Chaitanya Mat, he established Brajpatan. There is Giriraj Govardhan. There is Radhakund Shamkund. This is Nava Vrindavan, like New Vrindavan. Therefore, everywhere at that place, wherever he went, he said, I'm always only absorbed in Gaura Mayapur Seva. But it's important that Vaishnava is what we say, Mahantirasva Bhave Tarite Pamar. The nature of the Mahanta is to uplift the conditioned souls everywhere. Therefore he traveled, not just, let's just stay in Mayapur. No, it was Mahaprabhu's desire. Mahaprabhu said, Prithiviti Ache Jatanagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe Moranam. My name, Radha Krishna's names will be spread all over the universe. Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dhare Jane Jane Evere Pramane Gun Gaya Jeva Sune. This is Mahaprabhu's commandment. Therefore, to fulfill this, he began to preach everywhere. How did he preach? In the ancient times, sannyasis, you should not cross over a river, you should not fly, you should not go overseas during Chaturmasya, you should not, this is considered, you're fallen like that. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada established what is Rupa Goswami's vision, Yukta Vairagya. What is real renunciation? Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said, what is yours to renounce? You do not own anything. Ishavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatam jigat. Everything is Krishna's property. Who are you to say I am renouncing anything? What is real renunciation is the enjoyment tendency towards everything that is Krishna's. Instead, Yukta Vairagya means engage everything in Sri Krishna's service. Therefore, by the desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Guru Varga, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada used every means possible to preach. There's a photo of him, famous photo, sitting in a nice car. People think, who is a sannyasi to sit in a car like this? It was very astonishing. It was like having your own plane. At that time, he started preaching, established the Gaudiya Mat in 1918, 1919, up to 1937, and then it was continuing on. So what did he do? He knew that preaching requires many different means and many different avenues. You must have prachadaks, those who travel and preach. You must also have the Brihad Mridanga Seva. So we see in Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's life, he established the importance of the Brihad Mridanga, the publication, saying this is the great kirtan. He had daily newspaper in those times, in the 1920s, 1930s, daily newspaper. At that time you had to set each and every letter in the press. Not like today where you can type it and push a button and it goes everywhere. And yet he had a daily newspaper, weekly magazine, monthly magazine, in Hindi, in Bengali, in English, in Odia, the Paramarthi in Odia, the Gaudiya in Bengali, the Bhagavat in Hindi, and the Harmonist in English. It was astonishing for people because at that time, Gaudiya Vaishnavism were in a dark age. Like, there's different periods after the six Goswamis. Then Srila Narottam, Shyamananda Srinivas spread it first widely. Then there was a little dark age after Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Many Sahajiyas, many Apasampradayas. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada very powerfully. Therefore, in society, Gaudiya Vaishnavas were seen as, they were ridiculed openly. People like, Swami Vivekananda and Rabindranath Tagore. But they did not advocate bhakti. They preached, Jiva Narayan. The soul is God. Jiva Seva Narayan Seva. Serving the Jiva is serving God. But they don't understand Jive Doya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasar. What is Jive Doya? What is serving the Jivas? Jive Doya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasar. The real essence of Dharma, to help the Jivas by giving Krishna Nam. Those who are only opening hospitals, tending to the material needs, they're not truly helping any Jiva. This is Sarir, bodily Seva. And the real Vaishnavas, they serve body, mind and soul, but without serving the soul, nothing is Jiva Seva. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he established what is real Jiva Seva. You must awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness within the hearts of the living entities. For that means you must powerfully preach. In that time, everyone thought, oh, Hinduism, this is only Advaitavad, impersonalism. God, Krishna, this is all imagination. Smash the murtis. This is all bogus. This is all nonsense, speculation. Oh, Radha Krishna, oh, Sahajiya. Everything was ridiculed. But how can you argue with daily newspaper, weekly, monthly, 5-6 languages, sannyasis traveling everywhere, establishing centers within a few years, 64 mutts in India, 3 centers in the Western countries. You cannot argue with an unstoppable force. You can only ridicule from a distance. They tried to stop it. Smartas and Sahajiyas collectively, they tried to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, showing that a true preacher, they are cutting through Maya. I was listening today to Srila Gurudev's Hindi Harikatha, speaking about Srila Gour Govinda Svami Maharaj. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he said, Sante Vaisha Chindanti. Gurudev mentioned this slok. The sadhus are cutting through the attachments of the mind and the heart in Maya, these knots in the heart wound up over millions of lifetimes. When the real sadhu comes, they must cut through that with the sword of their transcendental Vani instructions. Therefore, they are opposed by those who have an interest in enjoying the jivas. So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he began to preach so powerfully. It was unstoppable. He established Daivi Vanashram. Daivi Vanashram means transcendental Vanashram system. Only for Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Rasangsar Kuro Chari Anachar Jivedoy Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasar. Everything should revolve around Sri Krishna. Then Jedina Grihe Bhajana Deki Grihe Te Goloka Bai. Those homes become like Vaikuntha. Like everyone's home here. Sri Thakurji is there. Thakurji Seva is going on. Harinam is going on. This is like a branch of the transcendental world. Therefore, this is Daivi Vanashram. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava line, there were no sannyasis at that time. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada established sannyas ashram for preaching Krishna Bhakti. Proper grihastha ashram, proper brahmachari ashram. Therefore, he was greatly opposed. People said, oh, he is becoming like Mayavadi. But they do not understand that Krishna Shakti Vinanahitar Pravartana. Without Krishna's desire, Vaishnavas do not do anything. Vishnu Anucharatvam. They are the followers of Sri Krishna. They follow Krishna's desire. They are not subject to the whims of conditioned souls. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada preached so powerfully. He said that we follow Vox Dei, not Vox Populi. We don't follow public opinion. We follow Krishna's opinion. Therefore, he was never concerned about the attacks of people opposed to pure Vaishnava Dharma. Even though they tried to kill him when he was doing parikrama. Before Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, no one was doing Navadvip Dham parikrama. We would not know where Mayapur is. And without Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis, we would not know where Vrindavan is. We have to understand how important and how indebted and grateful we should be. That without 6 Goswamis, without Mahaprabhu, where is Vrindavan? Where's Radha Krishna's Leela Stali? And without Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Babaji Maharaj, and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, where is Mayapur Dham? Where is Navadvip Dham? Who is Mahaprabhu? We would not know anything. Therefore, we are so fortunate. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he would speak in such a powerful way, even great scholars could not comprehend it. Great aristocratic Englishmen would come to his classes and be so amazed. And afterwards they were asked, oh, what did he say? They could say, it was amazing. It made my heart feel so joyous, but it was so sophisticated. I'm taking notes and having to consult dictionaries again and again and again. because he's such a great scholar. Therefore, he has given the name Siddhanta Saraswati. Even when he was a young man, he was given the name Siddhanta Saraswati. Saraswati Devi herself blessed him with all Siddhantas. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him the title Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he became known as Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because he is able to bring all the jivas to the lotus feet of Prabhu, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Therefore, he is able to bring them to Krishna's lotus feet. Therefore, he is Prabhupada. And he himself is present there. One thing that's very interesting is he is also Radhapaksha. Varsha Bhanivi Devi Dhaita Das. And we can see that in his prayers. Since the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, what is their most cherishable song? You can tell that. What do they sing? Especially in their later pastimes. They all sing. Shirupa Manjari Pada Se Mora Sampada Se Mora Bhajana Pujana Se Mora Bhajana Pujana Se Prata Se Tapa Se Mora Mantra Japa Se Mora Vedera Dharama Se Mora Vedera Dharama. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said you should not, these inner deep moods of serving Srimati Radhika are not there to be displayed in the open marketplace. For those who will only ridicule this. But in their heart, they're always worshipping Shri Radha Krishna Jugal Kishore. Since Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, we see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, before he left, what did he request Gurudev to sing? Shirupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada, Se Mora Bhajana Pujan. The lotus feet of Shirupa Manjari are my life and soul, my wealth, they are my vows, they are my sadhana, my practice, they are my Veda Dharma. Without her mercy, my life is like always being scorched by the poisonous venom of the snake of materialism. Therefore, I'm praying only when will I receive her glance of mercy in her service. Sirupa Manjari Kararchita Pada Padma Gostendra Nandana Bujarpita Mastakaya. Ha Gauri Kanaka. When will I get that chance that Shirupa Manjari will bring me to the service of Srimati Radhika? Give me a chance to serve her lotus feet. Therefore, he is Sri Varsha Bhanavi Devi Daita Das. He would sign like this. Sri Varsha Bhanavi Devi Daita Das. This was his mood. And therefore, today we must also remember this. Those who are her followers, her maidservants, they are able to preach the most powerfully. So he preached everywhere. But he showed that we should not imitate this. Without qualification, Srila Jagannathas Babji Maharaj, many people approached him. Oh, I want to do Astakali Lila Bhajan. He made them tend the garden. He said, you are not qualified. This is only imitation. This is only a great wealth that can be given by a lifetime of seva. Srila Srila Goswami Maharaj would say, first deserve. If you don't deserve it, they're not going to give you. You're not honoring and cherishing it. Oh, I'm a manjari, I'm a manjari, I'm a manjari. This is not our dharma. This is not our Vaishnava dharma. You must follow sadhana. What is the topmost sadhana? Sarva sadhana mukhi guru seva sadhana yapakir bhagavati anjasasukavaha. By a lifetime of guru seva, Harinam is guru seva, Kirtan is guru seva, serving the ashram, serving the devotees, all Sri Guru. Without Sri Guru, I'm an orphan in this world. Param Gurudev said, when he would go to Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's birthplace, he would not even be able to say his name. When he would go to Mayapur Dham, after his appearance, he would not even be able to say, he would say Prabhupada and break down. He said, I was certainly present at the time of Mahaprabhu, the time of Krishna, but they did not lift me up. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada lifted me up by my sika and brought me to his lotus feet. He told me, this is Mahaprabhu, this is Radha Krishna. He brought me to the Dham. Therefore, for us, without Guru, everything is useless. Without Bhagavat Guru, without a pure Guru in our life, everything is just a display, a fantastic, display, but Shri Guru Charanirate, if we can develop attachment to the lotus feet of Guru in this life, our life is successful. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, there's no words you can use to completely describe his glories. They are infinite. Ananta. Ananta kahite nahi pare. We cannot come to the end of the glories of the Vaishnavas. All we can try to do in this life is develop a little bit of honor and respect. Try to give up Guru Abhiman, give up Vaishnava Abhiman, and develop Seva Das Abhiman. I am only Tad Britya Britya Paricharaka Britya Britya Brittasya Timang Smaralokanatha. I am merely the servant of 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 the servant, the last one. This is our Abhiman. When we develop this consciousness, we can progress. Otherwise, Habi Abhimana Bharo, I will develop a great pride and false ego, and this will lead to my downfall. Therefore, Guru Abhimana Tyaji, I pray, when will I give up this Guru Abhiman and develop Seva Abhiman, Das Abhiman? Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada showed this. Any disciple, he would say, Das Osmi, I am your servant. I am the servant. He would address everyone Prabhu. Param Gurudev only, those who were very close and intimate, he would address Tu, the most intimate form of address for someone who's very close and dear. Param Gurudev would not offer pranam to his Gurudev because he knew he would offer pranam back, so he would offer pranam from a distance or from a hidden place. So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, how can we even begin to describe his glories? All we can do is try to remember and pray to Srila Gurudev. Our grandparents are more kind and affectionate than our direct parents. Our great-grandparents are even more affectionate and more kind and more compassionate. Parents may chastise as necessary, but grandparents then they will give you, the parents may have to chastise the child. Afterwards, the grandparents will give them some sweets and console them. So we pray to our great, we have Shri Guru, Param Guru, Parat Par Guru, Param Parat Par Guru, Parameshti Guru. We pray to them for their mercy. We pray to always remember their lotus feet, and then we can practice bhakti. Otherwise, it's only like a dream. Kali Kalira, in this age of Kali, full of darkness, full of illusion, false pride, madness, lust, anger, greed. It's so difficult to practice bhakti. Kantaka Koti Ruta, there are millions and millions of thorns on this path of bhakti. But only by the mercy of the pure Vaishnavas is it possible to follow bhakti in this life. Therefore, I'm praying for everyone's mercy. I'm praying to the Guru Varga, remembering on this day our illustrious Guru Varga, trying to touch just a very particle of their glories.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. Very wonderful glorifications of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj and Guru Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. Very sedantic, very beautiful. So we are now 5 minutes to 8. I think you mentioned Gokul Prabhu. He's a disciple of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. So if I would like to humbly request Gokul Das Prabhu, if you can speak a few words, we would be very much honored.